All right, looks like we're live.
Yeah, how about that? Wow. This is super cool and everything. We're trying Google Meetings now and all. So yeah, I think it sounds clear. Like you sound crystal clear, but I might not be, right?
Yeah, no, it looks like a better setup. I'm assuming Google is a better product than Zoom, but yeah, in general, I guess keeping it unscripted today. So that's kind of nice that we didn't have to, pour any notes into anything really, or kind of go
No,
over anything like that. But I don't know.
no.
Before we fired up, you were talking about Allen Robinson trolling us here in Chicago, or is something about Zach Lavine?
Yeah. Allen Robinson just tweeted out like Zach Lavine to Dallas or Portland would be a super nice fit. Like I think this guy's just trolling, right? Like, I mean, if you think about it though, right? Maybe he does fit a little bit, but come on, there's he's trying to get back at his ex or something, So yeah,
Yeah, it kind of seems weird though. It's like he's on the Rams now. I would think that in itself is like,
yeah,
justification for that last year he went through, and like, or I guess it should say like more or less he's vindicated now and can kind of go off and like, play for a Super Bowl. I think that sounds pretty fun, but
yeah,
yeah, I guess if like we were spitballing though, I mean, I think like Levine with Doncic on the Mavs. I mean, obviously Doncic needs a little bit of help, but I mean,
right,
Levine would be a really nice running mate.
yeah, no, and I mean Zach Levine's actually really good with kind of that spot up shot. Saw him working out on that a lot, like in his off season programs, and like even this past season. I don't know what his stats are with regards to like spot up shooting, but he really improved, I think, this year. So Doncic is like the creator, so he could fit. Portland too. I mean, obviously, if this whole like Dame Lillard thing is like, oh yeah, Dame Lillard's staying and he's like a lifer, then it does maybe it does make sense. But
Is anyone ever really scared of the Blazers being title contenders? Like,
I mean, nobody is really, yeah.
like I'm all like, okay, I'm cool with like Dame like being like, Portland's my spot and I'm gonna be here forever, but like I never take any of that speculation of anybody going to Portland seriously because I'm like, they're still the Blazers. Like they're just going to be like first round, exits, or they're going to have like a really competitive matchup in the first round, and it's going to be pretty much it. It's like I don't take any of it seriously. Like at this point, I don't even know how you feel about Dame, but like even if you put him on like a championship contender, I'm not 100% sold on like Dame Lillard, the finals. MVP or the guy that's the last piece. Like if he goes to a team that's like Eastern Conference or Western Conference finals ready, then I get it. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a great player. He's a great shooter, but I'm just not there.
Yeah. I mean, they just never had that like efficient, I should say, like second player, like CJ McCollum was really talented and everything, like, but he was kind of operating like as another point guard in a way, like in terms of size. Like you need to have like a decent actual shooting guard that's like has that length, can play defense and all, like a quasi wing or an actual wing at shooting guard. Like they just can't be that championship contender, especially if they're going against like Harden or whatever, and when he was with Houston, or Klay Thompson, right? Like that's where they just run into issues when they actually go against actually talented teams and all. I mean, we even see like the Bulls struggling, like playing with small ball, right? Was like, yeah, when you're going against the top teams in the NBA, like well-constructed teams, they have wings, they have, players that can rebound, play defense and all that. And it's like, yeah, if you're just running around with a bunch of shooting guards, you're going to get your ass beat.
No, they're like a very like cute team. It's like, oh, they got these cute little 6'1" point guards that are interchangeable who can shoot, and like, they just got Nurkic to like shore up like their offensive prowess, and it's like,
yeah.
And then they always like mix in these 6'5" to 6'7" like small forward, power forward combo, forwards, and it's like I don't know. It's like, I mean, and one would like be a perfect destination for the Trailblazers. I was just like, dude, I'm sorry, but like, like when LeBron's coming at you, like, a locomotive, with Anthony Davis to drop it down to or something when they're healthy, it's like no contest. Just looking at him on paper was always like great, but you still are missing like a bunch of 3-and-D guys. You're missing a true big, true power forward who can score in the paint. Like you just need like the roster construction is all confusing for me always.
Yeah. I mean, I liked when they got like Robert Covington and all that, but then who did they get rid of? I mean, they got rid of like Gary Trent, right? Like when he was like emerging more so as a young talent, and now he's like blowing up, or I think he dropped like 40 or something like that with the Raptors this previous season, and I don't know what they're doing. Like I feel like they're kind of like they're like dipping their toes in, like, oh, we're gonna completely reconstruct this franchise. But then it's like, oh, well, we kind of want to contend, It's like,
yeah,
make up your mind then, with all that. So, yeah.
I like want to pull another team that I feel like is pretty similar, but I mean, even the Sacramento Kings who weren't competitive, it's kind of like I was always scratching my head with like all those point guard, small shooting guards they had for a little bit there with like when they drafted Halliburton. I loved the player, and I was like really disappointed the Bulls kind of skipped on him. They got your boy Pat Williams, but like in the same sense, I was like, this Halliburton kid like just seemed like he had like a lot of just analysts were behind him and kind of just seemed like a nice piece. Like it would be a nice piece, but just sometimes I look at rosters and I'm like, this is really confusing. Even like a Bradley Beal with like a John Wall for a while, it was like, all right, Bradley Beal is a great scorer, but he's still 6'4", he's small, like.
Right.
Like, does he commit himself to the defensive side, even with all, so I always get like, if you're going to go small, then you need to make up for it from the 3 to 5. I feel like with like just guys are going to completely cover all the holes you have because you have two small guys running around 1 and 2.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Again, if you want to go against the top echelon, you look at, and I think that's why I partially, like really like the Patrick Williams pick, although, I mean, I couldn't have predicted that they were going to be, getting Ball and DeMar DeRozan and Vucevic and all that. But, I think you have to have competitive wings in this modern day NBA because, especially with position as basketball, it's just about getting guys that can guard multiple positions, can score off the dribble, can, shoot the 3 ball. And you can't always do that with a bunch of 7-footers or 6-foot nothing people, right? So that's where you need those 6'6", 6'7" type of versatile players to guard multiple positions that can do normal things in basketball they teach you in basketball camp, right? Shoot, dribble, and all that. So yeah, it's just weird. I like Dame Lillard as a player. I went. When I was in Seattle, I saw him a couple of times when he was with the Trailblazers. Over there, I mean, they love him there and all. It's just Dame time is pretty cool. Like, he's so clutch. I just remember that series with when he shot that 3 ball against Paul George when he was with Oklahoma City. Like that was amazing. So it's one of those like, hey man, maybe he's a Reggie Miller kind of. It was like, hey, I'm just gonna stick with this Portland team. I owe it to them. They put me in the league and everything. They believed in me when other people didn't, and loyalty to a fault, man. That's the way to go. That's the style. But if he could definitely, I know there was a lot of talk with him and Ben Simmons and Philadelphia, maybe like that would have been interesting.
Yeah. I'm glad he's like stayed true to what he like cares about, where he wants to be, and like he's not running from his situation, whether it's good or bad. It's like he's committed to the organization. Like they've always treated him well and vice versa. It's kind of a shame nobody's like wanted to follow him out there or just like wanted to be a part of some of the teams that they had that were a little bit more competitive a few years ago. It's right. I guess it's too bad for, in that sense, but yeah, I mean, whenever you bring up Ben Simmons, I feel like we have to have a conversation because I just always think like
So
I don't know what I
trigger.
have to add just now, but like I'm gonna say something about Ben Simmons in the next like 10 minutes or something. But
I feel like yeah, I've triggered you, huh? I've triggered your Ben Simmons hate.
if it isn't a Ben Simmons thing, it's like a James Harden thing. So it's like anytime I hear those names and like people like really want to start like talking about how great they are, just like I have things to say. I mean, nowadays I don't know anybody who really like remembers what it was like when Ben Simmons played basketball. I mean, and now it's like he's
ages ago.
yeah, it's like what does he even stand for anymore? It's kind of like, what attire is he going to wear, on the bench today, or what injury, or like I'm not going to go there. I want to, but I'm not going to go there. What's wrong with this guy? Like, so we're always like kind of on our heels waiting for the next Ben Simmons update, which is always entertaining. Like, don't get me wrong, but
well, I was laughing when you said like, yeah, what does he stand for? It's like he doesn't stand for. He's sitting most of the
time. Pretty much, yeah. Like he's been sitting a lot, so yeah. I don't even know anymore. Like I did see one thing on Instagram I thought was pretty cool, but like there's an account called Mock Trades, and one of the trades they threw out there was Ben Simmons going to Utah straight up for Gobert because their contracts match up pretty well. And I was kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, that might not be too bad if like you're the Nets, especially if you're KD, you get a guy who's going to play every night, which is really like excellent, and a guy who could just protect that whole rim. And then for Utah, one of the two have to go between Gobert and Mitchell. So it's kind of like, do you want to try the Ben Simmons project for 1 year? Like, all right, let's roll the dice. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm the Nets, I'm like, take it.
Yeah. Done. Like, where do I sign?
Yeah, done. If I'm done, I would definitely take that in a heartbeat. But it's like, where does Ben Simmons, does he want to, like, what's he trying to do? Like, so, does he want to go to LA? Like, cause he's all hot shot and everything like that, or what? Cause like that I could see possibly working and all that. But if Ben Simmons doesn't want to play there too, then it's like, okay, then there's the same situation now, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I honestly feel like he's reading the Kyrie Irving like handbook for how to go about making as much money and doing as little as possible in the NBA. It's like, I know Stephen A. like Smith will just ride Kyrie to the very end, like just in terms of the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. Kyrie took some time off to like process that. He's jumped from team to team, like he's had his injuries, his COVID vaccine stuff. Like we know the whole story. It's just kind of like Stephen A's always been on the line of like this guy can play like no other, but in the same sense, like he's okay with like missing a ton of games every year, and I think he averages like 60 something games a year. Like, and guy makes like what $40 million per season. So it's like,
right.
Ben just like seems like he's cut from the same cloth. Like his head got really big, like probably his entire life in Australia, and then he was hyped up as that number one overall prospect from LSU, and it's like I think that kind of stuff is just luckily like LeBron's had like I'll dig on LeBron a lot just for some of the choice, the way he goes about things sometimes, like attitude wise, and like his cockiness sometimes gets overboard. But like every time that guy's healthy, he's playing to be the best of all time. It's just like, I don't know, but it's curious, like what drives these guys really.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I do agree with LeBron. I think LeBron, maybe that was like something like that. LeBron was like, oh, this Kyrie kid, like he's talented and all that, won me an NBA championship. But then, maybe they just had differences on, I don't know, life and playing and all that too. But no, I agree with that. Like for all the talk with like LeBron versus MJ and their legacy and everything, like LeBron's a great player, no doubt. And he shows up, he takes care of his body. He's been on, injured this season and all that. But you can't knock him, for, doing all load management or just like having this off the court type of issues, right? He's been very much a good citizen, if you will. So yeah, I can't knock him for that. But yeah, to your point with regards to Kyrie, it's like, man, can you just like shut up and not shut up and dribble. Not shut up and dribble.
Don't say it, man. Don't get us canceled. We've only had like 5 episodes. We need to like stay on YouTube, okay?
Yeah. Not shut up and dribble, but it's like, what's wrong with just playing, man? Just play. Yeah, So I get you have your own. He's a very eccentric individual, but to what extent are you just like not going to be actually participating in the sport that is giving you a platform, right? So, I'm
on the same, like, Harden is right there for me. Like, he is right. We talked about this. Like, they're right in that little. It's like this arrogance, like this, need for control, or the need for everything to be customized to this individual at their timing and like at their whim. Like, it must be done their way. And I think the best thing that could happen is like we go into this offseason, like Philly's going to lose this series. Like, I have no doubts that Miami's going to finish this up. Philly better not give him that extension. Like, I know it's James Harden, and like I know his legacy. I know like his stat sheet. Like, it's amazing, but like I would seriously, like, if I'm not signing and trading him, which would be my preference first, like I'm just not putting 4 years, $40 million, $50 million on that guy, because this is what you're getting. Like, what are you getting? You're getting a second round exit. Maybe he's going to score 20 points. Like, and how is he going to look like 2 to 3 to 4 years down the road? Like, it's going to get ugly. So like,
yeah,
I know Morey's like his boy, but it's like, I just can't, man. I if I was in Philly, like I would have done the Kings trade. I would have done the Simmons to Kings for a bunch of scrappy young guys like Fox. I can't remember who else. I mean, might have been Halliburton at the time. Right. Maybe it was Buddy Hield. Maybe it was Bagley. Like, I don't know who was in that package, but I was like, I saw a package from the Kings and I was like, take that. Like, that is such a good package for Simmons, because you got depth and you get years with those guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's Harden, right now they're losing to the Heat, 93-68. Series is tied, right? 2 games apiece. So it's not looking good for at least the James Harden experiment here for now and all. But granted, they've only had a couple a half a season or less than half a season to like get the rhythm together, right? I mean, it'd be interesting. Like, you're right, Morey, Harden is Morey's person and all that. And they did get rid of their former number 1 pick in Ben Simmons, so it's like, okay, what can we do to, like, what player out there can we trade Harden, who's like 32, 33 or something like that, right? Who's going to take him, and then how are we supposed to get somebody that is, hey, maybe they get Dame Lillard, or somebody like that, right? That can help Joel Embiid, reach that championship level, because I know Jokic just won MVP and all that, but it's arguable that Embiid is just a better overall player. Granted, he's also hurt, some of the time for sure during the season, but like, he's one of the best players in the NBA. So you want to utilize him in his prime, which is like basically right now for a big person. So they need that player as soon as possible. So I don't know if they trade him or what, or maybe they're like, hey, we can see if we can find somebody else to add in here that makes sense. But it's hard. It's going to be hard to see a championship team. It's always hard to picture a championship team, I think, with Harden. I'd love for him to be a 6-man, actually. That would be interesting. Kind of going back to his OKC days, right? But I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon.
I don't know if an ego that large can subvert back to 6-man status. I mean, he's going to have to go through like a Vince Carter type mental transformation to get there. But I don't know. I'm just trying to think of teams that are like a player away who have enough depth to, like, is it a Cleveland Cavs? Would he go to Cleveland? Like, I don't know. Like, if he gets a big contract, he's gonna throw his weight around wherever he goes. So it's like all these guys, they just they get this big contract, and like that's I don't know, that's like your biggest weapon is like I can just hold this whole organization hostage because hey, I make all this money, and you're going to be screwed if you cut me because you'll have to pay me, or you'll be screwed because you can't sign any other guys to fill my spot. And it's kind of nice. I mean, it's like I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'll have to think of like some bank CEOs that have the similar type of leverage with their organizations, but like I don't, it's like it's ridiculous, man. And I'm a pro player. Like I want these guys to get paid. I want depth pieces to be like secure and like. For minor league baseball, for example, like I don't want them like living with host moms and, eating 7-Eleven every night. So it's like, I'm for them getting paid, but like, do your job. like do your job, dude. Like there's so many people in this country that make like, obviously like, 40 times, 100 times, 1,000 times less than you do. Just do your job.
Is this? Am I hearing "shut up and dribble" or what?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, we're probably gonna get canceled at some point. It might be tonight.
Yeah. But yeah, do your job, like Bill Belichick, right? Like Bill Belichick, because that is the Patriot way, right? Yeah. So, but I mean, to a certain extent, though, right? It's like. How much are you just not going to like? It does seem like they are oftentimes pushing, James Harden or Kyrie, and right, just pushing the edges of, whatever GM is in charge of, their contract and everything. Of like, what am I supposed to do with this person, right? Like, you compare that to like any workplace in the world, right? It's like, yeah, you want the person to actually show up for work. Great, if they're sick, if they're hurt, if they're going through, bereavement and all that, like, yeah, you're going to accommodate that because you want that person out there. You want to accommodate their talents and their life situations because you want them on your team and all that. But if all I'm going to do, it's like they're professors hitting tenure or something like that, right? It's like, all right, get rid of me, but I just don't care, right? Like, because you can't. Like, I hold some leverage on you, so. I almost feel like they're kind of going that route as like professors on tenure. So I don't know.
Yeah. You think you would just like, hey, if I'm Philly, I just went through the Ben Simmons saga. Like, yeah, you just traded for another Ben Simmons. His name's James Harden. It's like, yeah. Like you think you'd be a little smarter going into this offseason. Like, do we really want to give this guy the supermax? And it's like, I don't know. I think going forward though, like for all these supermax contracts, like talent is only going to be, so important, I think, to some of these teams and some of these types of players. Like sometimes it's hard to identify maybe. Like I'm trying to think, like, I mean, obviously when Harden was like in Houston and he gained like 30 pounds or whatever, like that should have been a red flag off the bat. But like Simmons, like, yeah, he like choked in the playoffs, but like, he still seemed like his, growth potential was there and his head was all right. And like, you couldn't really see it, but like, Kyrie, like when he was barking to get his way out of Cleveland and then did the same in Boston, like that for me, I'm just like, all right, like I'm not going to be, the next stop on your way here because, at a certain point, it's kind of showing what's like the reality of the situation too, is that like those types of players don't get you past the second round right now. They got you to the finals, Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals, when they were committed, when they were healthy, when they were playing every night. But like second they adopted an attitude, like this is what you get. You get a first round exit. Like congrats.
Yeah. And you look at like who's in the playoffs right now, right? Like, I mean, apart from the 76ers, but who are they losing to right now? They're losing to the Heat. A lot of their players, yeah, sure, they have, the first rounders like Tower Hero and all that, but he wasn't like a top 5 pick or anything like that. And I don't think anybody actually saw him doing as well as he's doing right now, right? Duncan Robinson and all that. And They got Max Strus from DePaul.
Of course, I mean,
yeah.
You went to DePaul, man.
Yeah, some 3-and-Ds, and then Jimmy Butler, who was late round pick and has become an all-star, and Bam Adebayo. It's like, yeah, these were players that they're not known for like all the drama necessarily. I mean, well, there's Jimmy Butler, I guess, but it was definitely that not mixing well with the culture of the team, right? So he was with Philadelphia and also Minnesota Timberwolves, but I remember like hearing his interviews like with JJ Redick and such about what was that all like, and he was like, yeah, I have no idea what they didn't talk to me or anything like that. There was no relationship, but when he was with the Heat, like he had that conversation. I think I'm going to mention previously, right? He had that conversation with Dwayne Wade, and Dwayne Wade was like, yeah, you would love the Heat because they're all dogs over there. They're all about playing and grinding and all that, and then enjoying life in Miami too. So they're all kind of building that Pat Riley mode, that old school like let's win at all costs type of thing. So it's seen, right? Like you can see that type of culture works, and getting all those assets to fit into that culture and get that buy-in without all the drama. But yeah. I mean, I think it's difficult for Morey in that he wants to get the players ASAP, like in their primes, to help out with Embiid, but yeah, at what cost, right? So
yeah, Mr. Don Corleone, Pat Riley, just pulls up at the sideline with snake oil in his hair, and he's just like, come sit down over here. I'm about to educate you on Miami and what we do around here. And like Jimmy signs that night, But I had the same feeling about Jimmy Butler because it was perplexing, actually. Like the Chicago thing, I thought Dwayne Wade seriously ruined the nucleus of that Chicago Bulls team, which really it ticked me off. Like, because you got Rondo and Wade like butting heads, and like Rondo stuck up for the younger guys, which I thought was really cool. And Jimmy just kind of like adopted this like new mindset, like kind of, started building a little bit of arrogance at that time. And it was like, damn, man, are we going to really lose Jimmy Butler right now? And we ended up losing him, obviously. And it's like, yeah. And then him just bouncing around a little bit, like he would have been a hard guy to like read, to be honest with you, if you're going to hand over like a 5-year max contract to somebody. It's like, but I always appreciated his gameplay. Like he always gave it like 100%. Like you could tell that he was engaged, that he cared about winning, that he put it all on the floor and stuff. Like he's like a Ron Artest type to me. He's just like, I mean, Artest is a little out there, but like just the way they play, just like very aggressive and very like determined type players. Like I love those kind of players, and they're hard to find. Like they're really like that personality type is just so hard to find. Who's just like for a polished guy like that.
Yeah, man. Could you imagine that Bulls team? Oh man, like could you imagine if Rose was healthy and then Jimmy Butler? Like, oh man, that would have been awesome, right? Like to see those two grinders, right? With whoever wings, like Mike Dunleavy or whoever, as long as they could shoot threes, or they can get surrounded with a bunch of 3-and-Ds, right? But yeah, like that would have been awesome. Cause yeah, those dudes just embody like that Chicago type of basketball. It's like hard nose, grind at all costs. Right. I think that's why a lot of fans like grew to love Jimmy, and made him Jimmy Buckets and all that too. So yeah.
I miss having Jimmy in Chicago. Like I wish we could have figured something out to just make him happy, I mean, the whole Garpax thing, like it had to go. Like, yeah, I bet he was kind of looking at the writing on the wall too. Like they really brought in Dwayne Wade and like Rondo, and like I like you, D Wade, but like you're also like 38 or something, like out of shape now. Like why are you here? And I don't know, man. I feel the same way about the White Sox right now that I do about the Bulls at that time, like just with how Reinsdorf goes about like filling out an executive team and like targeting coaches and scouts and other people. It's like, it's very much like all in the family. And I was so happy to see, we talked about AK and like them bringing in a new GM and just kind of changing the culture of like how they go about scouting, how they go about, assembling rosters, what's important, what's not, did the kid go to Duke? Who cares? He didn't. Okay, let's go get him. I mean, the Sox, we talked about them too in our baseball episode and stuff, but it's like, I just think that they need to reassess like what they're doing, like top down too, and say, are there too many guys? Like, does Jim Thome need to be here? Does Chris Getz need to be here? Is like Paul Konerko like necessary? Like, I love all these guys, like obviously as a fan, but like seriously, like got to get some like guys in there. They're going to bring in new like thoughts, new ideas. Like maybe we'll like deep dive in analytics. Maybe they have history of working for the Rays or the Athletics or the Twins or, some of these other teams that have like, not had to spend like $100+ million to, field a good team. So yeah, I don't know, man. How do you feel? You don't have to talk about this either if you don't want to, but like, how do you feel about any of that?
Yeah. I mean, the White Sox are interesting, right? Like, Jerry Reinsdorf teams, why couldn't we diversify our ownership?
True. Yeah. No, true.
I mean, granted, he's brought like 7 championships since he's taken the reins. Obviously, mostly with Jordan though, and all. Like, it's like, oh yeah, he's a great owner for a professional basketball team because his GM drafted Michael Jordan, and then was able to. I mean, nobody predicted that White Sox championship team, so yeah. So I think, if. I had a lot of like optimism coming to the season or like, last season and everything. Right. And I was like, oh, wait, Tony La Russa, he's still ticking and everything. Like, again, you're bringing this whole like, in the family and everything. And, to a certain extent, that's nice and all that, with the Lakers, how they kind of have that type of thing, right. Where they do bring in some of the, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar will come and talk in the locker room and stuff like that, which I think that's cool and all that. But do you want Kareem Abdul-Jabbar making like your GM hires or anything like that, or being a scout compared to like these other people who have been scouting for 30 some odd years or 20 some odd years and having these deep analytical skills using sabermetrics, all that, right? Like all that would be nice. Bringing those outside perspectives. So, do they have a really talented team right now? Yes. Are they struggling now? Yes, but I think the worst. I don't know who made that hire of Tony La Russa, but I just highly doubt it was Rick, our boy Rick Hahn. I don't know.
No, that was a Jerry. That was a Jerry.
Yeah, right.
Like, I mean, Rick Renteria got the boot, and to no fault of his own. I mean, the guy's never really inherited much but with the Cubs or with the Sox, like. I really wonder what he's doing these days. Like, I really hope he's not in Chicago. Like, I just feel bad for the guy, but no, Tony is a part of this. Like, when I didn't hate the hiring because I'm like, look, the manager isn't seriously like the most critical part of a winning baseball team. But, could I think of 25 worse managerial type hires than Tony La Russa? Yes, I could. So, the things that I get annoyed about when I see Tony is like just some of the obvious stuff. Like, hey, Lurie Garcia like doesn't belong in the 3-hole. Like, I don't care if he's batting 300. He belongs like in the 1-hole or the 9-hole, and like that's pretty much it. Like, and the constant like waffling and flipping the lineup every day and like throwing or Gavin Sheets out and right, and it's kind of just gives you a headache because you're just like, could you just put together a lineup that makes like tangible sense for us, because like we know who the best hitters are on this team, so like assemble them accordingly. Right. And the only other frustrating thing about the Sox for me right now is it's like, and I don't know if this is just like gonna be part of our identity, but it's like we can just never get our team healthy at the same time. So we're always chasing like 2 to 3 injuries, and we're just like, okay, we got Moncada back, but now Vaughn hits the shelf, and it's like we're waiting on Eloy. We're waiting on Lance Lynn. Like, so it's just a little bit frustrating because I'm like, are these guys just injury prone, or like, will we get a time period for a sustainable amount of time over the season where we have everybody clicking at the same time?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, that was what I think helped out that 05 White Sox team really was, they were just all, apart from like Frank Thomas, who, missed basically most of the season, right? apart from him, like everybody was pretty much healthy. Had like all the pitchers like pitched like 200 innings and all that. So, you know, it was a nice healthy squad like for most of the year. But yeah, like something's happening with the injury bug. I don't know if it's like the food they're eating or what, or if they're not stretching properly. I don't know. So something's happening there, and you know, there's definitely some eyes looking, I guess, on training and all that. But yeah, there's something happening with regards to injury, and I don't know what it is exactly. So, you know, maybe they need to do some load management or something. I don't know.
No, but that's what my brother said. I mean, he was all on the training staff and stuff. He's like, there's no way that 3 guys will get hamstring injuries in the same week. And I'm like,
stretch.
Yeah, but like, you know, AJ Pollock, like he's had chronic injuries throughout his career. So when we traded for him, I'm like, hey, it might be 120 games for that guy. Like, but he's a good player, you know, it's just like, he's always battled that kind of stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, it comes down to like player accountability too. Like these guys who have had injuries, like a Robert or a Jimenez at this point, it's like, hey, you got to take extra good care of your body, like just knowing where you're at. And it's sometimes I feel like it's maybe a little immaturity. We talked about this at the first baseball, you know, podcast that we did. It's like, you know, maybe we need to send a message at some point, and maybe that message can be pretty big if we're like, let's say around 500, we're just really not clicking at the trade deadline. There might be a splashy move or something, or just something that'll shake us up because,
right,
you know, this team's too good on paper to be middling in the AL Central. Like,
yeah,
I'm not even like Twins are nice. Like, you got to trust that Buxton's going to stay healthy. I wouldn't put my money on it, but it's kind of like they're coming up with a bunch of their young guys too. And, you know, their rotation it's a little checkered. I mean, like Sonny Gray is a veteran. You know, Ryan's looked really good. Joe Ryan's looked really good. Josh Winder's been good, but it's like none of these guys have really done anything, you know, on the major level, you know, on a major scale. But, you know, Sonny Gray's had a great career, but it's like it's not intimidating, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not intimidating. Yeah, I like. There's got to be a point where they're not going to be number one. I think, right? I think they have like the number one pitching right now. So there's got to be a point where it's like, yeah, somebody's they're going to catch up to these people. The hitters are going to catch up to these people because they're not that dominating force. You know, yeah, like the White Sox have a more dominating pitching staff and all that, right? So, but yeah, to your point, like. I'm not banking on Sonny Gray to be just like throwing like you know, complete game shutouts and stuff like that, you know, for the remainder of the season. So you know, I'm hoping that the White Sox bats, you know, heat up against the Twins pitching and it all evens out. But yeah, it's not looking the best so far right now. Yeah, due to injuries, due to just not performing to our top to the White Sox top ability, right? So
yeah. And no disrespect to the Twins. I feel like when we were talking about this at the start of the year, I think the caveats that we threw around the White Sox were there could be that one team that just gets, you know, hot out the gate and it's like they just ride momentum. And like there have been teams like that every single year in the MLB where it's like,
yeah,
hey, on paper, this isn't the most talented team in that division, but hey, they play well together. They're building some good, you know, camaraderie. They're winning ball games. They're stringing it together. It's like, baseball's funny like that. Like it's not cut and dry. Like roster talent matters, but in the same sense, like when you're kicking the ball around like we were last night, we make like 3 errors and, you know, a reliever struggles when we're up 6 and it's like we can all throw it on Hendricks and say like, damn it, Hendricks, you blew another save, but like Hendricks shouldn't have been in there up 6 going into the 9th. And it's like, that kind of stuff in baseball, you just get that one base hit, that 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs. It's like the floodgates start pouring. It was just like watching that Phillies Mets game the other week when Philly had its, you know, should have had it sealed and the Mets found their way to a victory.
Yeah, like momentum, just like that's one thing. I think momentum just in baseball, like it's not necessarily. I don't want to say like not. It's not always felt necessarily compared to like I don't know, like a football game or maybe like a basketball game, but. It certainly is impactful. You know, we kind of saw, like, you know, with the, you know, the Cubs in 03, right? With the Bartman thing, right? Like there was a momentum change there. And we see that within, you know, pitching and relief staffs. So somebody makes an error. Like how many times do we recall of like somebody made an error and then that run scores eventually and then the game is tied or something, something like that, right? So yeah, baseball is funny, and I think that's the most interesting sport with regards to parity, right? In that you don't always know who's going to be winning the division at any given year. Not all the time. There's odds in favor like of the White Sox or the Yankees usually every year. But it's like, there's always going to be those times where the Twins, there was that time the Twins always just seem to be winning the division with Torrey Hunter. But it's like, with the White Sox have a better hitting squad. So like, how's this happening? So,
man, I used to have nightmares when we go to the Twin Dome. Like once we go to the Metrodome, I'm like, we're getting swept. Like
Radke.
They had like all these little like nickel and dime players like Christian Guzman and Luis Rivas, and they just hit like triples off the big tarp and right. It was like we just walk away like Thomas and Albert Bell. I mean, some of our like sluggers are just look stupid out there.
Yeah, how does it we have all these all-stars, these people with like 100 RBIs and all that? Yeah, we don't seem to be winning against this Twins team with like it always seems like a makeshift group of players and all that. So
right.
I don't know how that all works and all, but I think I'm hoping that it evens out. That although I did predict the Twins would be better and that they were my sleeper pick, I think, right?
Yeah.
Again, baseball is an interesting sport and all that, so it's like I was just thinking, for some reason the Twins always have that Twins magic where they take veterans that maybe didn't have the best years or something like that, bring them in, and then all of a sudden they do fairly well, or players just have a rebound year, like things like that. I feel like happen with the Twins a lot. So, but yeah, I don't think they'll win the division. I'm hoping they don't win the division because I want the White Sox to win the division. So
right, they're really analytically savvy when it comes to building teams from the ground up. They know how to find value. It's like if you go around their diamond, all those guys were drafted by them. It's like, right. And the guys they have coming up are just like really touted prospects. So you got like Royce Lewis, Jose Miranda. You have Buxton there. You have Brian, Jeffers behind the plate. It's like they just got guys. You just go around their lineup, and it's like, well, crap, they're the White Sox of 2019, 2020 at this point. It's like if we don't capitalize, we need to capitalize in the next couple of years, I think, or it's going to get tougher. We're just every year we're going to be grinding it out with that team. Maybe the Guardians, maybe the Tigers, maybe the Royals. Just keeping an eye on the future, but like, let's take care of business. Like we have what it takes.
Like the Twins are usually they're a really smart organization. It was interesting. Like, was it several years ago? Like just a couple of years ago, there was like talks of like, this whole Chris Archer thing and like all the prospects to trade for Chris Archer, right? And then look, they just got Chris Archer, and he's like has like a 3.2 somebody ERA now, right? It's like, oh, no big deal. Like we didn't throw out the farm for him or anything like that. So
I think you're referring to like Tampa and Pittsburgh, and then
right.
I think it was like Glasnow, Austin Meadows. Like they got some like studs in that trade for sure. Like it was a terrible trade by Pittsburgh yet again.
And then I mean that's the difference, in the well-run organizations compared to like, Pittsburgh has had their years here and there, but usually like Twins are somehow, some way, they always find a way to contend, for good parts of a decade, right? So yeah, it's a well-run organization. I wish the White Sox were, as well run with them, and then also had the salary that the White Sox had, right? So
yeah. I don't know what happens when Jerry, passes. I don't know if it's like a succession plan with his son or anything like that, or if like ownership interest is going to stay rooted in the with the Reinsdorfs. It's like, if we could get a Steve Cohen type, like, forget all of his like, moral issues or whatever else, like all his business dealings and stuff, but like just bringing in a guy like that, or like a Ballmer, like who's just like, I'm flush with cash. I want to win. Like, what does it take? I don't really know, but like, I'm gonna throw money at stuff.
Yeah, money's still locked back. Let's move. Yeah, let's set up camp at I don't know, like Soldier Field or something like that, and just bring in a bunch of revenue and build up the seats or whatever. Like make it a lakeside baseball a team or something like that. Yeah, like if something like that were to happen, that would be interesting. But yeah, I don't know if Michael Reinsdorf is going to stick around and kind of just run the joint afterwards. But I don't know. We'll see. In the end of the day, it's like, yeah, we've met Jerry Reinsdorf, or we saw him before, back in our DePaul days, thanks to Nancy and all. But yeah, like, in the end of the day, like it was nice that he brought Jordan, or he got the GM that brought in Jordan or whatever. So, but right now it's like things need to. We need a future to, I think, cling on to that we like. So that's where I think we're at as White Sox fans. So yeah, hopefully something like that does happen, where there's a big shot billionaire that just brings in a bunch of money. Jeff Bezos is like, oh, here's $1 billion or like $10 billion or something like that. Can I buy the White Sox? Like, yeah, sure. That would be awesome. But I don't know. I'm optimistic though about I guess the future with that. And we have young talent. They're just not healthy. So
yeah. I think it's something to be fine tuned, because I think there's other guys in our pipeline, Colas, Cespedes, like could be impact outfielders. Maybe that makes Jimenez expendable. Maybe it's Andrew Vaughn, unfortunately, because I really like Vaughn. I hope he's a part of our nucleus. But like we're gonna have to start getting a little savvy with how we're going to build this team, like beyond this year too. So, we'll see. But I don't know.
Not have Dallas Keuchel as our southpaw in the starting lineup, but I think that's one way to start it off.
I mean, Squirrel Master, he was dealing in Boston. I don't know if you saw that this weekend, but he threw like 6 innings, quality start, I think. But nah. He's been terrible.
Not the best. I mean, I was excited. I'm like, oh, he's kind of like a Mark Burley and all that. Usually those aging lefties, those like with cutters and all that, can get things when in their later stages of the career and all. But it just hasn't panned out. At least for him, at least here so far. That's where it's like, it is nice that we have a bunch of young talent that maybe we do trade him for a more veteran type of pitcher, hopefully not in that Jose Quintana trade. But
man, that was an amazing trade for us, actually. Like, it's delivered some key cornerstones for our pitching depth in our outfield, I guess. But maybe we bring back Quintana. I was thinking about that today. Like, he's on Pittsburgh, he's doing okay. Okay is good with me. He's probably gonna be very cheap. Maybe we could bring him back for like a minor leaguer. I don't even know what it would take, but it'd be fun to see him come back and like be respectable. I mean, like maybe a fifth starter, long reliever or something. It'd just be kind of nice to like say, hey, Jose, like you can be a part of this because you helped build it,
win some games here and there, pitch, get some solid 6-inning starts and all. And what you think for this team is necessary. I think sometimes this squad is a little too reliant on the bullpen somewhat, so much that it implodes, I think. So, if we can get those more quality starts. Like I was looking at Kopech, like I don't think he's actually qualified for a quality start yet. So he's pitching lights out, but he's not going those 6 innings and all. So somebody just eat up innings, not give up runs. I mean, that sounds basic, right? But we certainly, the White Sox certainly need that, I feel like, and to not exasperate the bullpen as much. Again, it's a long season and we get hurt, so
I'd like to see the offense put together more like team-oriented approaches to at-bats too, because it sometimes feels like everyone's trying to hit a home run, or like, hey, I'm just going to show out right here, and it's like, well, we actually just need you to move him to third. So if you could just not lay one down necessarily, but like
pull it or whatever.
Have an approach that kind of like and leads to that end, like get us moving in the right direction with some of these at bats. And I think when these guys are all healthy and they're all together, they all seem to like each other. That's the one thing I kind of they vibe really well together. Like we noticed that last year. It was like Grandal, Jimenez. I mean, I think they're all like kind of on the same wavelength and stuff, but it's just frustrating when you're playing with like 80% of your roster at all times. It's like, we need these guys. We need to like bring this stacked, lineup into every game, just like scaring, the opposing pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I guess comparing it to like the NFL, so it's kind of like how, well, hopefully not like what the Baltimore Ravens had this past season. Like the Baltimore Ravens, like they were, I think I remember this previous season, they were like one of the, like a lot of people were predicting them to go to the Super Bowl and all. And, they just hit the injury bug and they had none of the remaining secondary that they had at the beginning of the season. Their offensive line was like depleted too. And I think a couple of the wide receivers. So it was like, you can have all this talent, but if they're not healthy, then, well, they're not playing, and then they're not that talented anymore as a team overall. So, it's interesting how that transpires. But yeah, we just need to be healthy, and we need to have pitchers that can last more than 6 innings. So
yeah. It's super hard. Like a guy like Lance Lynn is like so perfect for that, and Giolito and Cease is like making that turn now to being like a top of the rotation guy, which is like so important for us. But I kind of like with Kopech, he'd be on some sort of like pitch limit, inning limit all year, kind of transitioning from the bullpen. So it's like that fifth starter is so important when we lost Rodon. And I really still think about this, like tomorrow Rodon could like blow out his arm and he'd be done. Like right now he's like looking like a Cy Young in the National League, which sucks. But it's like when he had, we go in the offseason, he got an $18 million qualifying offer. That's something we would have to extend. If he just would have said yes to that, would I have felt great about that? Like, I don't know, maybe, but we wouldn't have had more flexibility to do anything else with our roster then. And it's like his arm could go tomorrow. I just kind of, missing him in the rotation as like just a primo, top 2 type starting pitcher. It's like it really is showing right now because that fifth slot is just who wants it. Keuchel, it's going to be Vinny Vegas, Vinny Velasquez, like maybe. Like could it be Johnny Cueto? Like I'd love to see Johnny Cueto get like tuned up because he's in our minor league system. Like I want to see Cueto. Like I want to see them bring him up at some point. But it's just hard, man. Especially with the injuries, because then it's like, oh, we're really short staffed now. Like Jimmy Lambert, you want to pitch tomorrow? Like, come on up. Like, I don't know. So, but I'm like you're saying with everything, and I think we've hit on this a couple times, but it's like it's still early May.
It is.
We're not chasing that much. Like we keep it around 500, even until like the All-Star break or even a trade deadline. I'm cool. Just keep it around 500. And I know, I feel like I know we'll be coming at some point. I just feel it.
And we had we did have that 6-game winning streak too, right? So it's like, okay, like all of these things were bad and everything, but then we had the 6-game winning streak, and then we just lost terribly, right? So I think that's the whole thing, right? It's just like, man, that was such a hard loss, and then it's like, oh, we almost forgot. Like, we won 6 games in a row, which it's not always the easiest thing to do in Major League Baseball, especially with all the injuries and all that. But Joe Kelly's playing, and then we're getting Moncada back, so we are getting healthier overall. It's just, this team healthy, like 100% healthy. Like I don't know how anybody can go like, oh, that's the bottom of the barrel or middle of the AL Central Division, right? Like no, you look at that team, you look at that roster. You're thinking, World Series or bust, basically. So, we just need to be healthy. It seems like we're getting healthy. We just had a 6-game winning streak. So, it is early. I'm optimistic. I would definitely want it to have been more of like how we were last year. We kind of came out the gate a little bit more, right? But hey, can't always get them all in. It's definitely much more how you finish, I think. So, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I try not to overreact too much in the first month or so of baseball. It's very strange. There's always a couple teams that show out in April when the weather's freezing and people haven't had spring training. It's like all sorts of stuff can happen injury wise or whatever else. So it's just like, let the funny stuff, get beyond us, give it a couple more weeks. And it's like, you start to see guys like play their averages a little bit more. Like right now you got guys batting 100, 200 that definitely shouldn't be, and it's like they'll get there. Like they'll get there at some point. So we'll see. But I think you mentioned before we even fired this up, but you said something about Tom Brady signing a deal. What do you got to say about that?
Oh man, the rich get richer. Like yeah. So he signed. I think he signed it. But yeah, he's getting what, like a 370 some odd $1 million contract over 10 years. Like he's going to be making more as a broadcaster than he has an NFL quarterback, not counting sponsorships and all that. So yeah, like it's crazy. Yeah, he's signing with Fox as a sports analyst. He's going to be the highest paid NFL color commentator in all the NFL and all that. So yeah, no, I guess not a cheap price to pay for the GOAT overall. So no, it was interesting when I heard about that, and it's like, man, why is he retired? Or why is he retiring at all? Man, like, I think the memes are like, oh, he really doesn't want to spend time with his kids anymore. Like, because it was like, that was like all the talk, right? It was like, oh, I'm gonna retire, spend more time with my kids, and then now he just keeps on like, oh, I'm gonna be traveling, watching NFL games, and commenting on them. It's like, dude, you're just gonna hire some nannies or bring the kids along. Like you got the money, man, right? So yeah.
He spent one winter break week at home with his kids and was like, man, get me the hell out of here. I got way too much potential left in me.
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
Yeah. I gotta, I kind of like eating healthy and all that and watching my diet. Like, I don't know. It's one of those, like, some people are built different. Like, if you know anybody that's like a high performing type of person, right? A CEO or an executive, right, is that they're always on, right? So, he's kind of hit that mode, I feel like, just always on and always needs to have the best with everything. So, maybe he's looking at the kids and like, man, you guys ain't nothing. I need to go back to the NFL and try to get hit by 300-pound linemen or get paid, millions and millions of dollars. Maybe he's trying to show up his wife or whatever. I don't know. So, yeah. He's just built different.
I think she probably handed him like the Swiffer sweeper and was like, "Hey, it's Saturday. It's your time. It's your turn." He's like, "When's mini camp? Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Like, seriously, get me out of here."
This is I'd love to have his issues, right? Like, my supermodel wife or whatever is like heading me a Swiffer and making me do house chores, right? Like, so.
But here's my question. The thing I don't get, and maybe it's just like what I don't get about news media or whatever else, but like, why is he worth $38 million to Fox? Like, isn't Fox going to play the same amount of NFL games on their network as CBS will on theirs? And like, they have like that split custody of, this ugly child. And it's like every, noon, I'm going to watch the Fox game. And at 3, I'm going to watch the CBS game. And it's like, beyond that, I mean, ESPN's got their own, setup with, what is it, Sunday nights or NBC Sundays and, ESPN Mondays or whatever. But it's like, what makes him push the needle? Like, is it
exactly?
I'm going to want to listen to his like post-game analysis. Like, I like Tom Brady, but I also like Drew Brees, and I don't really get it. Like, why is 38 million the price? Because like Romo is actually so good at color commentary, like understands like how offense works. He understands how players are driven. He kind of knows the pieces and parts. Like, and I will not, I won't disrespect like what Brady knows about the game as a quarterback. I don't know what he knows about other teams and other quarterbacks and how you assess stuff, but it's like, what do you think? Do you have any knowledge on that of like?
Well, I look at Twitter and all the conversations, since, according to Elon Musk, Twitter is the town hall. So, I was looking at kind of what was being said. It's like, nobody, nobody goes to watches NFL, an NFL game just for the commentary, right? Like, you're gonna watch because of the team. Maybe you got a fantasy football player playing during that time. You just want to see how they're doing. Maybe there's just really good game going on. Maybe the Chiefs or like the Baltimore Ravens or whoever are playing. So you want to see those types of teams normally. So it's much more about team a team drive. So I don't understand the financials of that necessarily, but I do agree that Tony Romo. I think one thing is like he's really good at articulating and explaining things, and to like your normal person that so that they can understand it. And he's really good at observing and communicating, the things that he sees like pre-snap read, right? That's where it's like, I haven't seen like any footage of Tom Brady breaking down film necessarily. I think I've saw like one type of thing where he did articulate some of that, like with Bill Belichick on some sort of, film session. I think they have like on YouTube somewhere. But apart from that, it's like, I haven't really seen him break down film. And maybe that is like the one appealing thing. Because I think somebody actually said this again on Twitter. It was like, why is it that quarterbacks, obviously, why are all the color commentators quarterbacks, right? It's usually it's because they study all the film, they diagnose the pre-snap reads and all that. But then it's like, can a middle linebacker know some of this too? The center, those type of people, like, shouldn't they know some of these things too? John Madden was a coach too, so like there's some older coaches out there that maybe they can do some good commenting on there. But that being said, I think somebody like Tom Brady, it's like he has that persona, right? Like he's Tom Brady, kind of similar to, I guess, Troy Aikman to a certain extent, but he's just better in every which way.
Yeah.
So maybe it's more so of that. But if he can match or exceed, or maybe let's go with match first, Tony Romo's type of level of analysis, then I guess it's great. But to that $30-some-odd million, like I think it's honestly much more about, we're gonna get Tom Brady, and how much is Tom Brady gonna cost because he made X amount in the NFL or whatever, and he wants to keep on that, and he has that negotiating power, I guess. I think it's much more about that than like, he's going to bring in more viewers now, because I honestly don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's so strange because he's getting paid like a CEO's salary. And when he goes to a game, let's say I don't know if he's going to be in the booth or if he's going to be like on the set or whatever, but if he like goes to a game, like you just pay him $38 million, like nobody even knows he's in the arena, like his back is to them, it's like, he's getting Mike Trout money, and he's just like, you're going to just see his back and his nice blazer.
Oh,
like,
man. Yeah.
His cute spiky hair.
If I'm paying $30 million, right, just to like, talk about a football game, I'm like, you better be like ordering pizzas for everybody. You better be like delivering coffee to everybody. Like, we're not going to give you an expense account for like, meals and stuff like that. That's on you. So like, no, it is pretty ridiculous. Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, is he going to be doing like guest appearances for, Fox News, and like he's just going to be like talking about his political, theories, aspirations, like whatever viewpoints or something too? Like maybe Fox will just have him on like triple duty and just doing he'll like appear in like a sitcom. You'll just be like watching like, the Simpsons equivalent, whatever they got like in human form. Like he'll just be showing up and Tom Brady will be your neighbor or something. Like, I don't know, like, but 38 million, 37 and a half, 38 million a year. And they better get their money's worth, because it just seems ludicrous, man. It's like, so stupid.
Yeah. Like they better also like get rights to, was it Man in the Arena somehow or something like that? Like I don't know. Let's do another one of these series. How about that? Yeah, we're just gonna slide that into that $37.5 million in there. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. So yeah.
Fox releases the Tom Brady app, and it has it's like Netflix, but just Tom Brady content.
Yeah. He better be breaking down. I don't know if they have like a Fox Sports Plus or whatever like that, right? But if they are going to go that route, he better be like breaking down film like Peyton Manning does, right? That would be the only thing I can think of. But they better milk that for sure, right?
Maybe have his own show like Peyton and Eli do. Like that actually kind of be smart, like him and Gronk or something.
Yeah, just talking like we are in a way, right? Just talking football, watching a football game, and I think that's like one thing. It's just that there's just more appetite for people. I think just watching people just talk like normal people. I think like we've been so exposed to like Instagram videos, TikTok videos. Now it's like, we consume more like on TikTok than we do like on YouTube even, right? So
Right.
I think some people are just much more, there's definitely like this more shift to a much more informal structure, I think, rather than like, oh, this, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, YouTube came out with YouTube Shorts just to like, spar against TikTok. I mean, this that we're doing right now, it's like, I know our family and friends support us and stuff, but it's like long form content. It's just hard to digest. Like, I hope people are like, riding in their car or whatever to our podcast if they like us and stuff. And like, that's a huge thing. But like, yeah, sitting back and watching us on YouTube, like maybe if it's a Sunday morning and you're like, I
got nothing else to do.
Yeah, like I throw stuff up on YouTube just for like background stuff and like if it's sports really, like I'm big on fantasy stuff, so it's like I like podcasts that kind of did the form like we do, like in regular time, which I appreciate. I think it's good analysis and good like format for those that are interested in a set of topics. But like, no, you're right. There's so many like Joe Rogan's, the Flagrant 2 podcasts that just kind of spitball and just kind of do what we're doing. So I found it to be fun, and we can debate whether we do this or the other style next time, I guess.
Yeah, I know for sure. Yeah, whatever anybody likes, or who let's see how many views this gets, or how many comments and all that. So
if you're in the UK, drop us a comment, because the last time we deep dived on our analytics, the UK was like supporting us. So like. We got to figure out what it is. I mean, are we just that funny or something? Like, just tell us what's up, UK.
Yeah. If we're funny in the UK, I feel like, you got to listen to some other stuff. I think there's some others, like the Monty Python. That's still cool, right? Like, I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah. If you're listening, UK, let us know what the hell you think about us, for sure. Tweet us or whatever, or hit us on AG or YouTube comments or whatever. So for
sure, man. I don't know, man. I don't know how you feel, but I think we give it a wrap on this one. Catch up with each other sometime later in the week or this weekend, whatever kind of works for both of us.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap. So I'll talk to you later. And hey, any viewers out there, let us know what do you think about this format. We're experimenting, so feel free to tell us what you think. So, all right, take care, everyone.